All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the subtle and often totally invisible world of dark psychology. You see, you're surrounded by what we'll call architects of influence, people who use these principles not just to persuade you, but to actually control you. I mean, have you ever felt that sudden pang of guilt you can't explain, or a wave of confusion in a conversation, or even that weird, unexplainable urge to please someone? Yeah, you might have already been in their web. So let's explore the 7 key signs you absolutely need to watch out for. Wow, that quote right there, it really hits you, doesn't it? It's a pretty jarring thought. The idea that our choices, that things we think are our decisions, might not be entirely our own. And that is exactly why getting a handle on these manipulative tactics is so critical. It's about protecting your own mind. So, what even is dark psychology? Well, at its core, it's this strategic and kind of sneaky use of psychological tricks to get what you want. Think of it like this. Instead of having a normal, logical conversation, it's like a back door into your brain. It completely bypasses your rational mind to go straight for your emotions. And these architects of influence are absolute masters at it. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the most common tactics out there, which are all about setting emotional traps. Then we'll dive into the really insidious stuff, the deceptive mind games and those subtle little behavioral hacks. But most importantly, we're going to finish with how you can build a shield to protect yourself from all of it. Okay, so first up, we're diving into the stuff that really gets under your skin, the emotional traps. These are some of the most powerful tactics because, well, they hijacked our most basic human feelings and our deep-seated need for connection. Let's start with the love bomb. Now, this is not your typical honeymoon phase. No way. This is a calculated strategy. Imagine just being showered with nonstop compliments, gifts, and attention. I mean, it feels incredible, right? Of course it does. And that's the whole point. It's all designed to build this intense bond, super fast. But the real manipulation, the dark part, kicks in with the second half of the cycle. And here it is, that insidious 1-2 punch. After that amazing, intense love bomb phase, poof, the affection is suddenly ripped away. And the entire reason for this is to create something called a trauma bond. You basically get addicted to that initial high, and you start desperately chasing it, trying to get it back. And just like that, the manipulator is in complete control of your emotions.
All right, next up, we have something called triangulation. This is a classic divide and conquer move. A manipulator will bring a third person into your dynamic, and this could be a real person, like an ex or a coworker, or get this, even an imaginary group of friends. The goal is always the same, to make you feel insecure and feel like you have to compete for their attention and approval.
Just listen to how simple phrases can hide so much manipulation. When you hear everyone else agrees with me, what they're really trying to do is make you feel totally alone in your own opinion. Or when they casually drop that someone else is very interested in them, boom, they've just manufactured competition out of thin air. It's all about using your fear of loss to control you. Now this one is incredibly subtle. The person shares some deep, personal secret with you way too early in a relationship. On the surface, it feels like you're building real intimacy, but it's actually a trap. It triggers a really powerful psychological trigger in all of us called the law of reciprocity, which creates this subconscious obligation for you to share something just as vulnerable. And just like that, they've got ammunition against you. Okay, let's shift gears into part 2. Here, the tactics move away from just pulling on your heartstrings to something, well, something a lot more dangerous. We're talking about actively twisting and distorting your entire perception of reality itself. These are the mind games. Gaslighting. This is maybe the most dangerous tactic we're going to talk about today. Its goal isn't just to win an argument or to be right. The goal is to systematically tear down your sense of reality until you literally stop trusting your own mind and your own memory. This makes you completely dependent on the manipulator for their version of the truth. It's incredibly damaging. You really need to pay close attention to phrases like these. "You're being too sensitive" is a direct attack. It's meant to make your feelings seem totally invalid. And the big one, "that never happened," that's a direct assault on your memory. If you hear these things over and over again, you can genuinely start to question your own sanity. The false choice. This is a classic sales trick that gets applied to relationships and everyday situations. It's also called choice architecture. See, the manipulator doesn't ask if you want to do something, they frame the question around how you'll do it. This gives you this illusion of freedom, making you think the decision was yours all along. And you see this everywhere, right? So, should we meet at 5 or 6? Notice what just happened? The actual decision to meet was already made for you. They've completely skipped over the possibility of not meeting at all. You feel like you have a choice, but the main outcome was never up for debate. All right, on to our third category. These tactics aren't about big, dramatic, emotional scenes or reality-bending arguments. Nope, this is about small, subtle, almost invisible psychological hacks that can influence your behavior without you even having a clue that it's happening. Okay, this next one is wild because it's completely backward from how you'd think influence works. We all assume that we do favors for people that we already like. But the Ben Franklin effect shows that it also works in reverse. We actually come to like people because we did a favor for them. So a manipulator uses this by asking you for some small, totally insignificant favor. So let's break down how this little brain hack works. They ask for a tiny favor, maybe to borrow a pen or ask for a minute of your time. You agree, because why wouldn't you? Now your brain has to justify why you did that. Our brains hate being inconsistent, so it comes up with an easy answer. Well, I must like this person, otherwise I wouldn't have helped them. And just like that, they're hacking your perception of them to gain your trust. So what happens when you finally say no to a manipulator? Instead of arguing back, they might just go silent. And let me tell you, this is not passive. It is an active weapon. That silence is loud, right? It creates this awful, anxious void, and most of us will do anything to fill it. We'll rush to apologize or just give in, all to make that terrible discomfort stop. In that power dynamic, the person who can stand the silence the longest holds all the cards. So, we've walked through all these pretty nasty tactics, the traps, the mind games, the hacks. Now for the most important part, what on earth do you do about it? Let's talk about building your defense. This is the real question, isn't it? Recognizing these patterns is one thing, and that's a huge first step. But actually neutralizing them, that's the real goal. How do you take your power back? And the answer, believe it or not, is simpler than you might think. Awareness is your shield. It's your superpower. You see, all these tactics, they thrive in the dark, when you're confused and don't know what's going on. But the second you can spot it, the moment you can say, oh, that's a love bomb, or wait a minute, this is a false choice, the spell is broken. The shadow, as the source material calls it, loses all its power the moment you shine a light on it. So here's your game plan, your personal defense kit. First, just recognize the patterns we've talked about. When you feel that intense emotional pull, that's your cue to take a step back. Analyze the situation logically. What's really happening here? What's the architecture of this conversation? And above all else, you have to trust your own reality. Trust your gut, trust your feelings, and trust your memory. And it all really boils down to this powerful idea right here. Learning these rules isn't about becoming a manipulator yourself. Not at all. It's about making sure you can never be manipulated. It's about taking yourself off the board as a pawn and becoming an observer who simply can't be played. Stay sharp out there.